So in this video, I'm going to talk about median, interquartile, and range. For skill data, we want to use median and interquartile because the reason to do that is our median is resistant to outliers. It will not going to be dragged by the outliers like mean, the average of the data. Okay, how do we do that? How do we find the median? So median is the middle value or the 15th percentiles. That means 50% of data are below the value. So your first step is always try to sort the data or reorder the data from small number to the biggest number. And here the data already sorted for number of the value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data. And here for our first data set A, the median is going to be the center of data. In this case, is 12. This is our median. Oops. Sometimes we call it Q2. If you have even number of value, the median is going to be the average of the center, which in this case, we're taking the average of 12 and 15. So the median is going to be 13.5. Okay. The first quartile is the 25th percentile. That means 25% of data below the value. So in the first part, the median is already used. The 12 is already used by the median as median or as Q2. So that means all we need to do is use the rest of the data, which in this case is 3 and 8. So the rest of data is going to be the 50% of the data. From this 50% of data, we want to find the median. Because the 50% of 50%, we have a 25%. So we have two data. So the median is going to be the middle of these two data. In this case, Q1 is equal to 5.5. In this case, for the second one, is different. The second one, our median, since doesn't exist from the data set. So that means when you calculate the first half of the data, you need to include in 12. So in this case, these three data, 3, 8, 12 is going to be your first 50% of the data. You're going to use that to find your Q1. So your Q1 is going to be the middle of these first 50% of data, which is 8. Because you have 1, 2, 3 data, the second one is going to be your median. So that's the differences between this one. If the median is included, is one of is the data from the data set, we don't include them when we calculate Q1. So similar to Q3 is 73 percentile of the data. So on the first data set, your median is already used. So that means all we need to do is when we calculate them, we just need to consider the rest of the data, which is 15 and 18, and use that to find the middle, since you have two data set. So the middle of these two data is going to be 16.5. You use 15 at 18 divided by 2. So for the data set B, our median is not come out from the data. So from the median, we have 15, 18, 20. These three data are left out as the second half or the rest of the 50% of data. You take in the half of the biggest 50% of the data, you will find that the middle of the 50% of data is going to be your Q3. Okay, described by the minimum, Q1, medium, Q3, and the maximum for the value. So that's the fine number summary. Minimum, Q1, sometimes we say Q2 or medium, and then maximum. So for Q1, let's use dataset B. We have 3, 8, 12, 15. Oh, sorry. Just write this down. So Q1 is 8. Q2 is 13.5. Q3 is 18. Maximum is 20. And then describe the distance. Range is used to describe the distance between the minimum and the maximum value. Our maximum from the fine number summary, we know that is 20. Minimum is 3, so the range is going to be 17. Interquartile range, IQR, we use Q3, 18, subtract Q1, 8. So the interquartile range is 10. Now, we changed the dataset B. Instead of 20, we changed it to 205. Originally was 20. So how is the fine number summary change? Okay, so that means we need to find the minimum, Q1, medium, Q3, and the maximum. So maximum is 205, minimum is 3. Medium is the same because we talked about that. Medium is resistant to the outliers. And then Q1 is, how do we find Q1? Again, since the medium is some number that doesn't exist. So that means when we calculate that, the rest, every number from the medium, not including medium, we're going to take it to find the Q1. So in the 3 number, the middle of the number is going to be 8. So similarly to Q3, it's going to be 18. Okay. So the range is going to be maximum, subtract the minimum, which is 205, subtract 3, you have 202. Interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. Q3 is 18, Q1 is 8, which is equal to 10. So how does this work? Well, if you compare it to earlier, when we notice that the range changed, but the interquartile range didn't change. So we can conclude that the outliers, in this case we just have one outlier, is the outliers affect the range. However, the interquartile range is not affected by the outlier or outliers. And the fine number summary, the first 3, the minimum, Q1, medium, and Q3, remains the same. It only changed the maximum by the outliers. Okay, so that's it for the mean and interquartile range. Again, because the outlier is not affecting the interquartile range, that's why when we analyze or describing the scale data, we want to use medium and interquartile range because those two are resistant to the scale data.